Chapter 1: The Reunion. Every year, a close-knit group of college friends gathered at their old university for a reunion. It had become a tradition, a chance to escape the daily grind and revisit a place that held so many of their cherished memories. Though life had taken them down different paths, they all made the effort to return, knowing that these moments together were rare and valuable. The reunion day was filled with joy and energy. Laughter echoed through the old hallways as they met at their favorite spot on campus, the courtyard where they had spent countless hours as students. They hugged, clapped each other on the back, and exchanged stories about their lives. "Do you remember that time we crammed for the physics exam but ended up debating who could eat the most pizza instead?" one of them joked. "And we still managed to pass somehow," another added, laughing. "Oh, come on," said the third, grinning, "we barely passed. The professor probably gave us mercy points for our effort." They reminisced about pulling all-nighters in the library, sneaking into the campus cafe after hours, and staging ridiculous pranks on each other. Their conversations were laced with nostalgia, transporting them back to simpler times when their biggest worries were assignments and grades. As the day unfolded, the conversation began to shift. The group started discussing their current lives, and the light-hearted tone grew more serious. One of the friends, a doctor, sighed deeply. "Being a doctor is fulfilling, but it's draining. Some days, I'm so tired I can barely think straight. A 12-hour shift feels never-ending, and even when I'm home, I'm thinking about patients. There's always more to do." The engineer in the group nodded. "I know exactly what you mean. Deadlines, client demands, unexpected changes to projects, it never ends. The workload just piles up, and no matter how much I do, it feels like I'm constantly behind." The entrepreneur spoke next, leaning back in his chair. "Starting my own business was supposed to give me freedom, but honestly, I feel trapped. The stress of managing everything, from employees to finances to competition, is overwhelming. I don't remember the last time I felt truly relaxed." Even the teacher, known for her calm demeanor, joined in. "Balancing work and family is harder than I imagined. Between grading papers, planning lessons, and taking care of my kids, there's barely any time left for myself. Some days, I wonder if I'll ever catch a break." The air in the room grew heavy with their shared struggles. The group, once so full of youthful enthusiasm and ambition, now seemed weighed down by the realities of adult life. Each of them had achieved the dreams they had once discussed late into the night during their college years, but the joy of those achievements seemed distant now. In the midst of this somber conversation, their retired professor sat quietly. He was a man they all admired. His wisdom and calm presence had left a lasting impression on them during their college days. Though he hadn't spoken much, he listened intently, his kind eyes moving from one face to another as they shared their concerns. Finally, when there was a lull in the conversation, he leaned forward and spoke in his gentle, thoughtful voice. "You've all worked so hard and achieved so much," he began, "but let me ask you something. Are you truly enjoying it?" The question caught them off guard. They glanced at one another, unsure how to respond. The silence that followed was telling. It was clear that none of them could confidently say yes. The professor smiled, not unkindly. "It's a simple question, but one we often forget to ask ourselves. Let's take a break. I'll make us some coffee," he said, standing up. The group watched as their professor disappeared into the kitchen. They exchanged puzzled looks, wondering why he had changed the subject so abruptly. A few minutes later, he returned with a tray in his hands. On it was a pot of steaming coffee and an assortment of cups. The cups were as diverse as their own personalities. Some were fancy porcelain, others were plain plastic, a few were elegant crystal, and one was an old, chipped ceramic cup that seemed out of place. "Help yourselves," he said with a warm smile, setting the tray on the table. The friends eagerly reached for the cups. Without realizing it, most of them chose the nicest ones. The crystal glasses and porcelain mugs disappeared quickly. The plain plastic cups and the chipped ceramic one were left untouched. As they poured coffee into their chosen cups and began sipping, the professor quietly observed them. His smile grew slightly, as if he had expected exactly what had happened. Little did they know, the coffee they were drinking wasn't just coffee. It was part of a lesson that would stay with them far longer than the fleeting warmth of their cups. Chapter 2: The Choice. The friends sat in silence, savoring the coffee they had just poured. The steaming beverage filled the room with a comforting aroma, momentarily distracting them from their earlier conversation about the struggles of adult life. Each of them had instinctively reached for what they considered the best cup. The crystal glasses and elegant porcelain mugs had been taken first, leaving behind the plain plastic cups and the old chipped ceramic one. They hadn't thought much about it, it was just human nature to want the finest option available. After a few minutes, the professor broke the silence with a thoughtful observation. "Did you notice something about how you chose your cups?" The friends exchanged puzzled looks. One of them asked, "What do you mean, Professor?" The professor gestured toward the table, where the remaining plain cups sat untouched. "You all instinctively reached for the cups that looked the best, those that seemed fancy, expensive, or impressive. Meanwhile, the simpler cups were left behind. This is perfectly natural, of course, but it reveals something important." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Consider this, the cup you drink from doesn't change the quality of the coffee. It's the same coffee in every cup. Yet, most of you focused on choosing the best cup, as if the cup itself would make the coffee taste better. In doing so, you momentarily forgot what truly matters, the coffee itself." The group was silent again, reflecting on his words. One of the friends, an engineer, furrowed his brow and asked, "Are you saying we're too focused on material things?" The professor smiled. "Not just material things. It's about the way you approach life. The cups represent the external things we chase: money, status, careers, and possessions. These things are important, yes, but they are just containers. They hold something far more important: your happiness, health, and inner peace. That's the coffee." The doctor, who had been one of the first to reach for a crystal glass, looked down at her cup thoughtfully. "But isn't it natural to want something nice? To strive for the best?" "Of course," the professor replied, "there's nothing wrong with wanting a good cup. But when your focus shifts entirely to the cup, you risk forgetting to appreciate the coffee. The pursuit of external success is much the same. It's important to have a stable career, a good home, and a comfortable life. But if you let the pursuit of these things consume you, you'll lose sight of what really brings you joy and fulfillment." The entrepreneur in the group, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke up. "But Professor, aren't the cups, the external things, part of what makes life enjoyable. A nice car, a big house, success in your field, don't these things matter? The professor nodded. They do matter, but only to a point. Think of it this way, a fine cup can make the experience of drinking coffee more pleasant, but it doesn't change the coffee itself. If the coffee is bitter, no amount of decoration on the cup will make it taste sweet. Similarly, no amount of material success can bring you happiness if your coffee, your inner self, is not at peace. The cup is secondary, it's the coffee that truly matters. His words hit home, and the friends began to reflect on their own lives. The doctor thought about how she had been so focused on her demanding job that she had little time left for her family or herself. The engineer realized that his relentless pursuit of promotions had left him feeling burned out, even though he had achieved much of what he once dreamed of. The teacher, who often juggled her career and family, spoke softly. "I think I understand now. It's not just about what we achieve or own, it's about how we feel and what we value on the inside." The professor smiled warmly. Exactly. Life will always be full of challenges, and there will always be pressures to achieve more and have more. But if you focus too much on the cups, you'll miss the joy of the coffee. Learn to appreciate the coffee, no matter what kind of cup it's in. The group sat quietly, each lost in their own thoughts. The once lively and noisy reunion had turned into a moment of introspection. Slowly, the friends began to look at the remaining cups on the table, the plain plastic ones and the old ceramic cup. One of them, the entrepreneur, reached out and picked up the chipped ceramic cup. He examined it closely and said, "You know, this cup might not look fancy, but it's sturdy. It's done its job for years and hasn't broken." Maybe there's something to be said for simplicity. The professor's smile widened. Exactly. Sometimes, the simplest things in life can bring the greatest joy if we let them. As the coffee cooled, the lesson was becoming clearer to everyone in the room. Life wasn't about chasing the best-looking cup, it was about savoring the coffee inside, no matter what cup you were handed. Chapter 3: The Lesson. The room remained quiet as the professor's words settled into the hearts of his former students. No one spoke, yet their expressions revealed the impact of his simple but profound analogy. Each friend found themselves re-evaluating their choices and priorities, comparing the metaphorical cups they had pursued with the actual coffee of their lives. Breaking the silence, the teacher in the group spoke softly, "So, we've been polishing cups all this time instead of enjoying the coffee?" The professor chuckled gently. "That's one way to put it. In the race to achieve, acquire, and impress, we often lose sight of the very thing that gives life meaning, our health, our relationships, our inner peace. These are the coffee. The cups, material possessions, career titles, and status, are merely tools to hold and carry life's essence. Yet, we've grown so obsessed with these tools that we've forgotten to savor the richness of the coffee itself." The doctor, who had spent countless sleepless nights in the pursuit of excellence, sighed. "But Professor, society doesn't make it easy. Everywhere we look, we're judged by our cups, what we own, what we wear, how successful we appear. It's hard not to get caught up in it." The professor nodded knowingly. "You're absolutely right. Society places a lot of emphasis on appearances, on the cups. But you have the power to choose how much you let that influence you. At the end of the day, it's your coffee you're drinking, not someone else's. Does it really matter if your neighbor's cup is shinier than yours? The room erupted in laughter at his playful remark, breaking the tension. The entrepreneur raised his chipped ceramic cup and said, "Well, this cup may not be shiny, but the coffee's pretty good." The professor's eyes twinkled. Exactly. When you stop worrying about the cup, you can finally enjoy the coffee for what it is. Life's true joy comes from within, from experiences, connections, and gratitude, not from the external packaging. The engineer leaned back, reflecting aloud. But how do we stop chasing the cups? It feels like such a habit, like something we've been conditioned to do since childhood. The professor placed his hands on the table, his tone becoming more serious. It starts with awareness. Notice when you're reaching for a cup in life, whether it's a fancy car, a bigger house, or even approval from others. Ask yourself, will this make my coffee taste better? If the answer is no, then you're likely chasing the cup for the wrong reasons. He continued, this doesn't mean you should stop striving for success or give up on material comforts. Cups are necessary, they hold the coffee, after all. But they should not define your happiness. True fulfillment comes from appreciating the coffee, regardless of the cup it's in. The friends began sharing their thoughts, their voices overlapping in excitement and realization. The doctor admitted, I've been so focused on becoming the best in my field that I've barely spent time with my family. My kids are growing up, and I don't even notice half the time. The teacher nodded in agreement. Same here. I juggle so many responsibilities, but I rarely pause to enjoy the small moments, my daughter's laughter, the smell of flowers in the morning. I think I've been missing the coffee completely. The entrepreneur added, I thought building my business and making money would bring me happiness, but the more I earn, the more stressed I feel. I'm always chasing the next big thing, and it's exhausting. The professor smiled, his heart warmed by their honesty. That's the first step, recognizing where you've been focusing too much on the cup. Now comes the harder part, learning to shift your attention back to the coffee. That takes practice, patience, and a willingness to let go of things that don't truly matter. As the conversation unfolded, a sense of calm filled the room. Each person began to see their lives through a new lens. They talked about small changes they could make, spending more time with loved ones, taking breaks to appreciate life's simple pleasures, and letting go of the pressure to impress others. The professor concluded with one final thought. Remember, life is short, and our time here is limited. If you spend all your energy chasing cups, you'll miss the joy of the coffee. So, drink deeply, savor every sip, and appreciate the richness of life itself. That's where true happiness lies. The next year, when the group gathered again for their reunion, something had changed. The conversation was less about complaints and more about gratitude. They spoke about the little joys they had discovered, playing with their kids, reconnecting with old friends, taking quiet walks in nature. And as they poured their coffee, no one rushed to grab the fanciest cups. In fact, the old chipped ceramic cup was picked first, and everyone laughed as they remembered the professor's wise words. From that day forward, the coffee cups became a cherished symbol of what really mattered in life. Every reunion, the professor's lesson echoed in their hearts: life is about the coffee, not the cup. Takeaway: the essence of life. The story of the professor and his former students is a timeless reminder of what truly matters in life. It serves as a wake-up call for anyone caught in the relentless pursuit of material wealth, status, or perfection. Here's a deep dive into the lessons it imparts. 1. Focus on the coffee, not the cup. At its heart, the story is a metaphor for how we prioritize the wrong things. The coffee, the essence of life, is what nourishes us, brings joy, and sustains us. This includes our relationships, health, personal growth, and the moments that make life meaningful. The cup, on the other hand, represents material possessions, external validation, and societal expectations. While these things may add a layer of convenience or beauty, they don't change the substance of our lives. A life filled with love, gratitude, and purpose remains rich, regardless of whether it's contained in luxury or simplicity. The professor's analogy forces us to ask ourselves a critical question: are we more focused on polishing our cups than enjoying the coffee? 2. Happiness is found in simplicity. Modern life often equates success with complexity, high-paying jobs, big houses, expensive cars, and the latest gadgets. But these things often come at a cost: stress, burnout, and a sense of emptiness. The story teaches us that true happiness isn't found in accumulating more, but in appreciating the simple pleasures of life. It's about savoring a quiet cup of coffee in the morning, spending time with loved ones, or enjoying a walk in nature. These are the moments that give life its richness, yet they're often overshadowed by the pursuit of bigger, better, and more. The takeaway? Simplify. Stop overcomplicating your life with unnecessary ambitions or comparisons. Find joy in the present moment and the simple things that truly matter. 3. The danger of comparison. One of the story's most relatable moments is when the friends instinctively reach for the fanciest cups. It's a natural human tendency to compare what we have with others and strive for the best. But this constant comparison often leads to dissatisfaction and stress. Social media, for instance, exacerbates this tendency. We see others showcasing their cups, luxurious vacations, designer clothes, successful careers, and we feel inadequate. But what we don't see is the coffee inside their cups. Their lives may look perfect on the outside, but they might be struggling with the same challenges, fears, and stresses as everyone else. The story reminds us to stop comparing and start focusing on our own coffee. The quality of your life is not determined by how it looks compared to others, but by how it feels to you. 4. Gratitude is key. The professor's wisdom also underscores the importance of gratitude. Instead of fixating on what we don't have or what others possess, we should appreciate what we do have. Gratitude shifts our perspective, helping us recognize the abundance in our lives rather than the perceived scarcity. When the friends began reflecting on their lives, they realized they had been so focused on achieving and acquiring that they had forgotten to be thankful for the blessings they already had: families, friends, health, and opportunities. Practicing gratitude daily, whether through journaling, meditation, or simply pausing to reflect, can help us realign our priorities and find contentment in the present moment. 5. Materialism is a trap. The story also warns us about the dangers of materialism. While there's nothing wrong with aspiring for financial stability or enjoying the fruits of our labor, making material possessions the center of our lives can lead to a hollow existence. The cups in the story symbolize the superficial things we often chase: branded clothes, luxurious homes, or prestigious titles. While these may provide temporary satisfaction, they don't bring lasting happiness. The professor's chipped ceramic cup is a powerful symbol of this truth. What truly matters is the coffee, not the vessel it's served in. 6. The power of perspective. The professor's lesson also highlights how much our perspective shapes our happiness. The friends initially saw the chipped cup as undesirable, focusing on its flaws rather than its function. But once they shifted their perspective, they realized the cup's appearance didn't affect the coffee's taste. Similarly, in life, our circumstances don't have to be perfect for us to find joy. By shifting our mindset and focusing on what truly matters, we can find happiness even in less than ideal situations. 7. Time is precious, savor every sip. Finally, the story reminds us that life is fleeting. Just like a cup of coffee, our time here is limited. If we spend all our energy chasing cups, bigger paychecks, fancier homes, or higher social status, we risk letting the coffee go cold. The friend's realization at the end of the story is a poignant reminder to savor every moment. Whether it's spending time with family, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying the present, these are the things that make life worth living. Practical applications of the lesson. To truly embrace the takeaway from this story, we must incorporate its lessons into our daily lives. Here are some actionable steps. Practice mindfulness. Take a few minutes each day to pause and appreciate the present moment. Whether it's enjoying a meal, spending time with loved ones, or taking a walk, be fully present and savor the experience. Declutter your life. Simplify your lifestyle by focusing on what truly brings you joy. Let go of possessions, habits, or commitments that add unnecessary stress. Cultivate gratitude. Start a gratitude journal or take time each day to reflect on the things you're thankful for. This practice can help shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. Limit comparisons. Avoid comparing yourself to others, especially on social media. Remember, everyone's life has its challenges, even if they're not visible. Prioritize relationships. Spend quality time with the people who matter most. Relationships, not possessions, are the true source of lasting happiness. Redefine success. Instead of measuring success by material achievements, define it by your personal values, happiness, health, meaningful connections, and inner peace. Final thoughts. The story of the coffee and the cups is a simple yet profound reminder to prioritize what truly matters in life. It teaches us to shift our focus from external appearances to inner contentment, from material possessions to meaningful experiences. By savoring the coffee and letting go of our obsession with the cups, we can live richer, more fulfilling lives. After all, happiness isn't about having the best cup, it's about enjoying every sip of the coffee inside.